As I introduce Darcy, as she comes up and share her wisdom, her light, and her love tonight, I look forward to that very much. She is a Catholic minister, a teacher, a musician, and a life coach, combining her study of world philosophies, Catholic training, and practices of mind, body, and spirit connection. Darcy teaches the invisible side of success in alignment with the universal laws. For over 30 years, she has worked as a teacher, speaker, workshop leader, and a singer, and now she's stepping into retirement and enjoying that. She's most recently taught music, choir, and musical theater to 3rd through 8th graders in the state of Arizona. Whether teaching or coaching, she empowers others to manifest their dreams through transformative thinking and decisive action. Darcy's experiential, fun teaching style invites people to ignite their passion, power, and purposeful living. And it's about time we join Darcy to share her wisdom, her light, her love, and that's her time tonight.
It's about time we start to begin it, to turn the world around. It's about time we start to make it the dream we've always known. It's about time we start to live it, the family of man. It's about time, it's about changes, and it's about time. The first time I heard this John Denver song, I fell in love with it. A true JD fan, I grew up singing his songs as I learned how to play my guitar. His lyrics always touched my heart. And in my opinion, his songs made the world a better place through his musical contributions. It's about time. We make so many references about time every day. We refer to how time flies. Well, at the same time, we're being advised that it's all a matter of time before we accomplish a goal. Which is it? How can we be patient with a matter of time when it flies? Perhaps because it will happen in good time as we bide our time? If that's true, then I guess time will tell. But then we might be told time is of the essence and the time is ripe. Or we might be in a race against time just to make it in the nick of time so we can have the time of our lives. So many opposing references about time. Currently, I'm on a path where I find a lot of time on my hands. It's probably the most time-spacious juncture I've ever experienced in my adult life. I now have time to catch my breath, to smell the roses, to actually sit down and contemplate and reflect and question. It's not something I am taking for granted, and yet I find myself balancing on that tightrope between taking my time, but not squandering or wasting it, and feeling a little lost without a job to do, which would often put my time in someone else's hands. I have no job title, but on with the uniform of the work clothes, neither of those anymore. Today, my uniform looks a little bit like I might be headed to yoga class. But years ago, I heard a poem that put time in perspective for me. And maybe some of you too are familiar with the poem, The Dash by Linda Ellis. I read of a man who stood to speak at a funeral of a friend. He referred to the dates on the tombstone from the beginning to the end. He noted that first came the date of birth and spoke of the following date with tears. But he said what mattered most of all was the dash between those years. For that dash represents all the time they spent alive on earth, and now only those who love them know what that little line is worth. For it matters not how much we own, the cars, the house, the cash. What matters is how we live and love and how we spend our dash. So think about this long and hard. Are there things you'd like to change? For you never know how much time is left that still can be rearranged. To be less quick to anger and show appreciation more. and love the people in our lives like we've never loved before. If we treat each other with respect and more often wear a smile, remembering that this special dash might only last a little while. So when your eulogy is being read with your life's actions to rehash, would you be proud of the things they say about how you lived your dash? So before you get too concerned that and think maybe I'm spending my days thinking too much about my own mortality, I guess I'll just admit that the topic does come up, but it is on my mind in terms of how I'm going to spend my precious time in this act of my life. This poem is such a poignant reminder of the things we call time and how best to use it. We all have 24 hours in each day and 525,600 minutes in a year. As the lyrics of the Broadway musical Rent's popular song, Seasons of Love, asks, how will you measure a year in life? Let me say that again. How will you measure a year in a life? Will you take the time to bolster your spiritual practices, connect with family and friends, create art or music, dance, write, mentor a child, travel, or learn new things? Will you be ahead of your time and innovate or invent something that will stand the test of time? Spiritual masters and mystics encourage us to be present in whatever time we're experiencing. And we heard Nancy so beautifully speak about this in Hamid's teachings. We've probably heard this quote from Beghein, who is the creator of the newspaper comic strip, The Family Circus. Yesterday's the past, tomorrow is the future, but today is a gift. That's why we call it a present. Being present and focused on the moment is the part of the mindfulness practice in Buddhism and in many other spiritual traditions. It's about being, not necessarily doing. Savoring the moment of the present puts you in real time where the past and future do not exist except in your mind. I know you've all experienced it. When you're so engaged in the moment that everything else fades into the background and you're fully conscious and alive to everything that is happening to you in the moment. The Sufi mystic Rumi coaxes us to come out of time and into come out of the circle of time and into the circle of love. When we are in the present moment, we are no longer beholding to linear time. We're listening to the voice of our hearts. When we listen to the heart, a shift opens us to a new perspective, releasing those judgments and welcoming oneness. Staying present invites wisdom so we can share genuinely and uniquely and authentically. Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh suggests that we pay attention to the bells of mindfulness that can bring us back to the present moment throughout our hectic days. When we pay attention to the bell of mindfulness calling us back to the present moment, anything can become a spiritual practice. For instance, one of my personal favorites, waiting on hold while you're trying to reach out to a customer service representative. That can make us very frustrated and even impatient. You can choose that route, or you can use it as a bell of mindfulness in which you focus on breathing in calmness and breathing out a smile. I love this reminder because when it comes to our time, it's very easy to get impatient when we have to wait. There's a lot going on in the world for all of us on all levels. spiritually, mentally, physically, and definitely emotionally. Perhaps like me, you found that your own patience is being tested, maybe by the media, news, or others who maybe not sharing, who do not share your point of view. With this in mind, I find it helpful to limit my exposure to media. I touch base just enough to stay informed, but not enough to pull me down that negative rabbit hole. I have also found that it's time to do some of my own personal inventory, to question my own beliefs, my own thoughts on different subjects. Author Iyanla Vanzant says, the journey into self-love and self-reflection must begin with self-examination. Until you take the journey of self-reflection, it is almost impossible to grow or learn in life. So let me illustrate her point by sharing a story. The story is about a Zen master and a well-educated, highly successful man who went in search of the Zen master to get solutions for his problems. As the Zen master and the man conversed, the man would frequently interrupt the master to interject his own beliefs, not allowing the Zen master to finish many of his own sentences. Finally, the Zen master stopped talking and offered the man a cup of tea. When the master started pouring the tea, he kept on pouring. And when the cup was full, he kept on pouring, causing it to overflow. Stop pouring, said the businessman. The cup is full. Can't you see? You're spilling it all over me. The Zen master stopped and said, similarly, you are too full of your own opinions. You want my help, but you have no room in your own cup to receive my words. The Zen master stopped by saying that it's a great reminder that our beliefs are not who we are. When you unconsciously hold on to your beliefs, you become rigid and close your mind to learning and expanding your consciousness. The path to self-realization is to stay conscious of these beliefs that you're holding, but always be open to learning something new, something different. Socrates said, know thyself. Each of us is worth the time and effort to rigorously get to know ourselves. Mother Teresa put it this way: self-knowledge puts us on our knees, and it's very necessary for love. For knowledge of God gives love, and knowledge of self gives humility. Humility seemed to be something that businessman was lacking. He knew his opinions, but did he really know himself? As I think about the state of my world, the people around me, and the issues we all face on a daily basis, I can contemplate this time in which we live. We are surrounded by so many ways to connect to others. Many of us have smartphones, computers, or personal devices with which to communicate and receive information and news. Granted, some of us are more tech savvy than others, but we all have the ability to connect. Even during this pandemic, most of us were able to reach out to at least hear another human voice, even if it was just binging on one of our latest Netflix favorites. Here's an idea: text less, call more. Heart to heart, we too speak the language of love. I call it living from your heart stream. It's when our hearts and our thoughts are actualized with the energy of love to make decisions. When we use our heart stream thinking, we intuitively know what to do and say when we're communicating with others. It's the space from which God can move through us more freely. As we stay present and listen with our hearts, we can better broaden our perspectives. I don't know about you, but I think we're being called to listen more intently. People say you were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. All of us simply want to matter to someone, to feel loved, acknowledged, and relevant. We want to be understood and affirmed, and that often takes someone willing to listen to us. When we listen with the heart, we hear from a place that breaks down the barriers of judgment and comparison, where we begin to acknowledge the common threads between us as humans instead of the separation of differences in perhaps ideology, religion, or even politics. I would like to believe that these are some of the timely life lessons that we are learning on this part of our collective journey. It's about time we realize it. We're all in this together. It's about time we find out it's all of us or none. It's about time we recognize it. These changes in the weather. It's about time, it's about changes, and it's about time. And yes, there is so much that needs to be changed. It can certainly feel overwhelming. Where do you begin being able to stay in the present, using self-reflection, and developing those loving connections? Most of us are familiar with Gandhi's quote, "Be the change you want to see in the world." According to the speaker and author, Joseph Aranza, Gandhi didn't actually say that, but he did say this: "We but mirror the world. All the tendencies present in the outer world are to be found in the world of our body. If we could change ourselves, the tendencies in the world would also change. As a man or woman changes his or her nature, so does the attitude of the world change towards them. This is the divine mystery supreme. A wonderful thing it is, and the source of our happiness. We need not wait to see what others do. We have been given free will, and we have the ability to change our beliefs, our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. We have the ability to change habits within ourselves that can raise not only our consciousness, but that of the world around us. If you want to change the world, social norms, beliefs, or practices, begin by incorporating those changes into your own life. We will see the changes we desire when we embody those changes ourselves. Following the universal laws is a great way to start. Incorporating the Coptic principles, meditation, yoga, qigong, and other spiritual disciplines will also help us change from the inside out, raising the frequencies of our energy and our consciousness. As truth students ourselves, we have witnessed the beauty of the universal laws. We are all vibrational beings. As we each raise our vibration, the frequency will affect matter and others around us. For instance, the law of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without. This states that patterns repeat through the universe. Change what's happening on the inside and begin to see the change happening on the outside. Many years ago, I would often pray to God and plead for answers about what to do with my life. What direction should I go? What is my purpose? What do you want me to do, God? Just tell me what to do. I would beg, feeling lost and unsatisfied with the direction I was heading at the time. One time when I was going through my litany of what do you want me to do, I actually got an answer. It stopped my whining in its tracks. Just be happy. I was stunned. That couldn't be the voice of God. That was much too simple and certainly not at all specific. I just want you to be happy. That was it. I came to realize that God wasn't overly concerned about what I did as long as I was happy doing it, as long as it brought me joy and was something I loved. Joseph Campbell calls this following your bliss. That was a life-altering experience for me, a lesson I've remembered and incorporated along my path throughout the years. So it is about time to practice staying present and being mindful in the moment, to practice self-reflection, being open and willing to see yourself honestly, to practice the language of love through human connection and interaction, to practice being the change you wish to see, to become an agent of change for this world. Because it's about time, it's about changes, and it's about time. It's about peace, and it's about plenty, and it's about time. It's about you and me together, and it's about time. Thank you.
Blessings, Darcy. Wonderful, incredible talk and presentation. It is about time and about love. And so much you touched on with the dash poem. That's so powerful. That it's really an eye-opener. I'm glad I heard it again. It's been a while since I've heard about it and read about it myself. John Denver, what an asset to the world. I'm so glad you opened your background with that too.
Thank you so much for the Coptic message today, because it just fit in beautifully.
Well, you know, like I said before, it was a 4 or 5 page lesson, and he talked about happiness in there. And if you want to be happy, then you know whatever you want to do, you have to think about it, visualize it. It just doesn't happen by a fleeting thought. And then, of course, he also talked about introspection. Mm-hmm. So I'm, in a way, glad I didn't comment on those things, because you dealt with them more fully. But you have to take the time to know who you are and be honest with yourself.
Amen. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Pink Floyd song "Time."
Yes.
And Darcy, that speaks as you were talking. I was reminiscing of the words of that song and how true they are. And yeah, so thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your comment.
David, what are some of those words?
I think Darcy should sing them for us.
Oh, geez, I don't know by memory.
Your voice.
One of them was something about wasting time, running against time, and the fact that the more you run against time, the more time catches up to you. And you're chasing your dreams, you're chasing the sun, only for the sun to come up behind you again.
Mm.
And yeah, it's a very powerful song. Yeah.
Pull it up on YouTube and listen to it.
Yeah.
So glad to say again, Darcy. Thank you for opening and closing your
If
presentation.
you want to say something, go ahead.
You are so welcome.
Yeah, Darcy, you gave us such a range of wisdom. It was absolutely amazing with that beautiful voice of yours and the great wisdom. It just woke us up. You know, and you brought complex things into very simple principles to follow in our life. And now, after hearing all these simple principles, now let's do those principles every day. That word habit is so important. Habit will really create our life differently, because that habit, and then we will grow into happiness and joy. And I'm going to pray that I'll be able to sing like you.
Thank you, John, for your kind.
That's my major prayer.
Please.
Oh.
Well, thank you for sharing John Denver's song. That is so appropriate for today's. He was definitely ahead of himself.
Oh, yes.
Or actually,
he was on time.
We're the ones that are slow to catch up. He was on time.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful song. If you want to listen to the whole thing, you know, find him on YouTube and listen to the whole.
Yeah.
Because it's a beautiful message. So great to see you all. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you for speaking to us. You have such wisdom.
Oh, thank you so much for your kind words.
Very much enjoyed, Darcy. And thank you.
You're welcome.